Hey everybody, it's Mike Collier with Midlife Fitness. Thanks for joining me for part 3 of a free training on how to reduce lower back pain. So you gotta bear with me because this is gonna be kind of a different video. I'm gonna be demonstrating exercises. I gotta film it on my phone. So it's gonna be moving around. I'm lucky that my amazing wife Lisa is helping me out and doing this for me to make this all possible. But like I said, just keep in mind, this is not a professional studio. I just set something up in my basement, which is currently being remodeled. But I wanted to get this information out there and show you guys to help you out. So thank you for joining me again. If you're watching this live, go ahead and type live in the comments. If you're catching this on the replay, and type replay in there. Give me a thumbs up if everything sounds and looks okay. I seriously, when I got down here to get this set up, there was a cricket that was going off, and I knew, and it might make an appearance, but of course it was going off right when it was time. So keep it in mind, be kind, and we'll get through this. It'll be okay. So first of all, before I show you exercises and stretches to do, I'm going to tell you what things that you should not be doing. Okay, things that you might not have known or that you've seen that you thought was a good idea, but might actually be contributing to your aggravated and lower back problems. Okay, one of those things is running. It's great. People want to be moving. That's one of the best things that you can do for your back and just for your general physical fitness. However, a lot of people don't know how to run correctly, and it's one of the exercises that contributes to the most musculoskeletal injuries that are out there. Responsible for most of the hip injuries, knee, and ankle and back issues that are out there. Now, the reason for it is because most people don't run correctly. It's super easy to do. It doesn't take any equipment. You can strap on a pair of shoes and go out there and pound the pavement. But that repetitive motion that is hard on your joints. Even for an athlete, running is hard on your joints. That's all there is to it. So what happens is you get out there, you run, you might be sore the next day, have some aches and pains, but then you think, okay, well, I'm just gonna, no pain, no gain, so I'm just gonna go out there again, strap on the shoes and pound the pavement. Now your shins start to hurt, now your knees start to hurt, your ankles start to hurt, and pretty soon you can't run anymore. So you can't run, which means you can't work out, you can't train, and that's it. And that's how you kind of fall off the fitness wagon. So running it's a good exercise, but it's very hard on your joints. So just keep that in mind. If you have lower back issues, one of the exercises you should be avoiding at all costs. So a good option instead of running is walking. Okay, walking is a great exercise. It's not going to be as much of a caloric burn as running, obviously. However, it's easier to do. It takes the same amount of equipment. It's easier on your joints. It's more of a social exercise, okay? Grab the wife, grab the husband, grab the dog, grab the kids, and go for a walk. And it's something that you can do more frequently. Because it is easier on your joints, you could walk every day, okay, consistently. Not a lot of walking injuries out there, not compared to running, okay, hopefully. So keep that in mind. Just be mindful of the running, okay? The other things that you shouldn't be doing are, people always say, core exercises are good for your back, and it is, okay, but they are, but you have to be doing the right ones, okay, and hopefully I'm providing you some of that guidance. When they think of core strengthening exercises, what do they think of? They think of doing sit-ups or crunches, okay, but doing a full crunch puts a lot of strain on your lower back, okay. If you guys have felt that strain in your lower back before, give me a thumbs up, give me a wave, let me know. But it puts a lot of stress on your lower back. So a better option, instead of doing a full crunch or a full set, is doing a partial, okay? And I'll show you real quick. So we're going to try to film this. You might get a little jumpy. So instead of coming up and doing a full sit-up here, just do a partial crunch. Same position. All you're doing is you're just coming up, contracting, and back down. Lifting those shoulders off the ground and back down, okay? A lot easier on your back, and you're still gonna get that muscle contraction in your core, okay? All right, stand back up. So that's one of the things. The opposite of that is a leg lift. People do, and I'm sure you guys have felt this, I feel this sometimes, but doing a double leg lift puts a lot of strain on your lower back. It causes your back to arch a lot of times. If you do want to do something like that, you want to make sure that your back is pressed into the floor. I always think of it, I'm going to go back down again. Let's try this. I always tell my clients to make sure that your back is pushing to the floor. So imagine like your belly button is being pulled through and to the floor. Another cue that I'll use is tell them to push their rib cage down or force their rib cage down whenever they're in this position. Okay? Versus this is rib cage up, this is rib cage down. Okay? But this double leg lift puts a lot of strain on your back. Okay? So a better option is to do single leg lifts, just like that. Okay? Coming back up. So those are some of the exercises to avoid. There's a lot of other ones out there, but I just wanted to touch on a couple of the most common ones. Okay? So give me a thumbs up if you're with me so far. And I can't, because I'm being filmed, I can't see who's here. So hopefully people are here and getting this or getting it on the replay. So I'm going to go over some stretches now. So I'm going to go over 3 main stretches. So not just your back we're going to stretch out, but we're also going to stretch out the muscles that contribute to that back because they're all related. A lot of times people will feel the pain in the back, but the pain is actually, or the dysfunction is actually somewhere else. Okay, it might be in your glutes, hamstrings, or your hip flexors are usually the main culprits for that. Okay, so I'm going to show you stretches to hit each one of those muscles. I'm going to show you 2 different versions. One that's a little bit easier if you don't have the mobility or flexibility, and one, if you have that mobility and flexibility, one that you could benefit more from. So I'm going to go over some stretches, and then we'll get into a couple of strengthening exercises. Okay, so first one, we're going to stretch out this hip flexor. Hip flexors are right where your front pockets on your pants would be. Okay, and those get really tight on people because people don't know how to stretch them very often. Coupled with the fact that most people are sitting all day, whether it's in a car for those law enforcement officers or you're a desk worker, you're sitting all day long, those muscles are going to be shortened and contracted. Okay, so you got to stretch those out. So I'm going to show you 2 different stretches for that. Okay, the first one's going to be a standing stretch. Okay, so all you're going to do is you're going to stand, and I'll go to the front like this. So I'm standing here, my toes are straight forward, about shoulder width apart. So the hip flexor that I'm going to stretch is on my back leg. So if I'm going to start with my right leg back, it's going to hit my right hip flexor. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the hand on the same side that the stretch leg is on, and I'm just going to twist my hips to the left. My right hand is up. And what that's doing is that's hitting this hip flexor right here, just putting a gentle stretch on it. All these stretches you want to hold for at least 30 seconds and try to relax and breathe. Breathing is super important during these stretches. You want to breathe out as you stretch and relax, and then you're just going to bring it back. Okay, and then you just do it on the other side. I'll give you a little more difficult version. You might want to get over this way. So another version of this is to do a lunging hip flexor stretch. So all you're going to do now is you're going to get into a lunge position. The stretched hip flexor, the leg is going to be back. Ideally, the knee is resting on the ground. Your other knee is propped up here, and you're just feeling that stretch on your hip flexor. And then to stretch it, all you're going to do is you're going to start just leaning, coming forward just a little bit, keeping your back up straight. Don't lean like this. But you want to keep your back up straight so that whole hip flexor and your quad is getting a good stretch. You just keep coming forward a little bit farther and farther and holding it. You can even do a little bit of a pulse and stretch that out. Okay? So that's your hip flexor. Okay? We're going to move on to the glute now. So I'll show you a couple of glute exercises. Again, I'll start with an easier one, then progress to a harder one. Okay? So the first one we're going to do is you're going to be on your back. All you're going to do is you're going to lift one leg up, bring your knee into your chest, and just pull back with both hands. So hands are underneath your knee, and you're just pulling back, stretching this glute. Okay, that's an easier version. You want to hold that again for 30 seconds, sorry. Breathe and relax. More difficult version, and what's going to hit more of that glute and that piriformis muscle back there, is to fold that ankle over your other knee, and you can either have your leg straight or knee bent. And then what you do is you're going to reach through this hole that's created, and then again just pull back on your knee. And then the other leg is add some mechanical force to force that glute stretch. So this is stretching right in here. So that's a little harder version. Okay. All right, so that's your glutes. Now we're going to stretch your hamstrings. For this, if you've got flexibility, you don't need to use a towel, but if you don't have the flexibility, you can grab a towel. All you're gonna do is, I'm not sure which leg to do this. Wrap that towel around your foot, extend your leg, and just pull back on it. Again, you're holding it for 30 seconds. You're trying to get a little bit more stretch every time. Relax and breathe. Let that muscle lengthen and stretch out. Okay. So we just hit hip flexor, glutes, and hamstrings. Okay. Good stretches for all those. We're gonna hit, but now we want to stretch the back, right? So this is the big one. So the culprit most responsible for a lot of back issues, and typically where people feel their back issues, if it's a muscle and not joint or bone related, is right here, on either side. Sorry, you probably can't hear when I turn around. That muscle is the Quadratus Lumborum, or the QL for short, and it's a large muscle that's really deep inside there. It attaches at your bottom rib and at the top of your hip. So whenever you feel that back pain and people reach back there and they grab their hip or their back like that, they're putting it right on that QL. That is right where that is. The guy that I saw mowing his lawn the other day, the story that I told, that's what he was doing. He's holding this while he's pushing his lawnmower. Okay, that's that muscle that when that starts to constrict and contract, you get a muscle cramp. It feels like somebody just grabbed you and just twisted. Okay, that's when it'll force you to your knees if you've ever felt that. Give me a thumbs up or a like if that's happened to you. Okay, perfect stretch for that. So what I'm going to do is, an easier version is to be seated. So you can even do this at your desk if you're in your office. You can't do it in your car, so it's steering wheel on the way. But sitting at your desk here, just going to be seated. All you're going to do is you're going to reach through your legs and grab towards the back of your ankles. Okay, I don't know if you can get it from the side. Grab the back of your ankles and stretch. But this time you're going to kind of push your lower back out. You're going to kind of hunch over, which typically you don't want to do, but on this exercise you do. So just like that, you can feel that stretching both those QLs in the back. Okay, that's an easier version. If you have the flexibility and the mobility, we're going to get down on the floor and do it another way. So from here, if you do yoga, this is called a child's pose. You're going to be sitting on your heels. Again, if you have the flexibility and the mobility to do it. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to come forward, reach up as far as you can, and that's going to stretch that QL. Okay. What's cool about this one is if one side bothers you more than another, which it usually does, all you have to do is walk your hands to that opposite side. So if your left QL is bothering you, just walk your hands to the right, and you'll feel that stretching. And then vice versa. If your right one bothers you, walk your hands to the left. Okay. So those are the stretching exercises. So we just stretched your QL, your back, your glute, your hamstring, and your hip flexors. All the things that are usually responsible for lower back issues. So stretch those, get some mobility with that, and you're going to see a lot of reduction in your lower back pain. Okay. The other thing that's going to help you is strengthening exercises. Okay, I'm going to show you two. All right. One's going to strengthen your core. They're both going to strengthen your core, but one's going to hit directly into your back and your glute. Okay. So we'll start with a core strengthening exercise. That's going to hit everything on your posterior chain, everything in the back. Okay. And this is called. People have a lot of different names for it. It's commonly called the bird dog. Okay, I'm sure everybody knows this one. So you'll be down on all fours. Hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, and then all you're going to do is, if I lift my right arm up, I'm going to lift my opposite leg out. And I'm just coming out to this position here, and then down. So I just come out, about a 2-second hold, and down. Okay. Up, and down. I'm going to switch. So if I switch, my left hand's going to come up, right leg's going to go back, down. You can turn this into a more of a core exercise. Is when you bring it out, when you bring it back, touch your knee and your elbow, and then come out. Touch, then out. That's going to hit all the back muscles, hit your core stabilizers, and I'll show you one more. So from here, This is called the reverse hyperextension. You can do this exercise a lot of different ways. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do it. But you can do this on a bench, okay, which is the least comfortable for me because I'm tall. But you can do this on any table, any stable surface. You can do this on the kitchen counter if you got a kitchen island. I'm going to show you with a ball. So from here, I'm just going to place the exercise ball on the bench here. It's just going to give me some height. Then I'm just going to bend over the ball, or if you've got your kitchen counter or your tabletop here, you're going to put the edge right at your hip crease. Okay? So from here, I'm just going to, it looks awkward, trust me. From here, I'm going to get in position. So my upper body is leaning over the ball. You're going to grab on the bottom of your bench for support, and then keeping your legs straight, all you're going to do is you need your glutes and your hamstrings to lift your legs up and then come down. So I'm coming up and down. And I'm hitting those glutes, that QL, and your hamstrings. Okay, that's enough of that. So you just do like 15 of those, 15 in a set, do a couple sets. You're going to get a lot of contraction on your glutes and your lower back. So those are stretching exercises. A couple of strengthening exercises, of course, ending up on the most awkward looking one. So there you have it. So in this 3-part series, we've talked about why it's important, the causes for it. We covered a lot of like the daily habits, things that you can do. Stretching, strengthening, we've covered everything. So hopefully I was able to provide some guidance. If you guys have questions, put it in the comments below. That way if I can answer something, everybody benefits from the answer. If you have other questions or need any help with anything else, feel free to private message me, call me, text me, if you got my number, and I'll be happy to help you out. So let me know if this is something that helped you guys out at all. I'm glad I was able to provide this for you. If you got one thing out of it, then I'm happy. So it's been great. It's been a great experience, and I thank you guys for coming. Take care.